dummy.
Grand Theft Auto 5. We are going to be playing Grand Theft Auto 5, the fifth one, the enhanced edition with Natural Vision Enhanced, which is an insane mod that makes the game look insane, and I've been having a lot of fun. I've had GTA 5, I got it on PS3 when it came out, I had it on Xbox One, and I have it on PC, but I've never actually finished it. Probably only played to like the halfway point, but I this is so pretty. I've been playing a lot of it. I'll probably end up actually finally finishing the game. And it is a pretty interesting experience that we have. I think this is one of the better use cases or arguments for frame generation, when frame generation is working with lower frames, so sub 60s. Well, RE9 is the best argument for that, where you really want to push like path tracing and stuff like that. I have 300 megahertz for memory clock, 450 for core clock. Power limit is 100 because I can't go beyond that with this GPU, which is a 5070 MSI shadowed 2x overclock edition. Cheapest one I could get because everything is incredibly expensive, and after tax it was still around $700. Alright, recording takes 2 to 3 FPS, we'll just say 3 FPS, negative 3 FPS, or 3, I mean, it's, you know, chilled out a little bit. It's, we'll say anywhere from 0 to 3 FPS. Average kind of fluctuates, negated from the recording of this video. So, whoa, I didn't even make it do that. It just did that when I said so, which is kind of cool. Grand Theft Auto 5 in 2026. This is Grand Theft Auto 5 Enhanced.
Excuse me.
He liked it. That was toxic. Anyways, this is Grand Theft Auto 5 Enhanced version with Natural Vision Enhanced, which is separate than Evolved, which is for Legacy. Settings. Anyways, settings are pretty much maxed out except for one thing. So, output monitor, that's none of that is important. We have VSync on? How's VSync on? Did it screw my thing up? VSync is on. This allows VSync on with frame generation. We are using frame generation. That's kind of an important thing for this. With all these settings in this GPU. CPU is not going to be a bottleneck here, but we have apparently VSync. I'm gonna leave that on because that's what it asks for. I'm gonna turn it off. I don't know why it's doing that. Reflex is on with boost, of course, which is usually very good for situations where you need to use frame gen, especially when you don't have a huge starting FPS to begin with. Graphic settings, ray tracing, everything is all the way on to max except for second ray tracing. Trace global illumination bounce is off. Very high. I mean, everything again is max. We have frame scaling, DLSS quality. I made sure that it was DLSS 4.0 preset K, and I did that through the NVIDIA app, and DLSS frame generation mode to just 2x. We'll try some other things like later on, but for the most part, that's what we're gonna have it at. We have this at 1, 2, I guess 80% sharpness. Personal preferences, depending on your monitor and everything that you got, set that according to what you like. But I am comfortable with it there. Shader quality, again, everything is completely maxed out, except for extended shadow distances. I have 50% of the way, so click over until it's in the middle. 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then again, everything else is still all the way maxed out except for extended distance scaling. So extended shadows and distance scaling, both of those are set to 50%. And the reason for that is because we get more FPS by turning VSync off. Does it look weird? Like, what happened with that? That was an odd thing. There's a lot of pop in, and having a 50% doesn't push the performance too much. It does have an effect on performance, but all things considered, I think it's negligible. All things considered. And then also the settings for natural vision evolved, and I will have a link for natural vision enhanced, not evolved. I'll have a link for that in the description if you want to go grab that yourself. Relatively easy to install. You also need script hook. I'll put that in there too in the description. Still very easy to install. And the settings that we have are, we have natural enhanced color clicked, natural vision raindrops clicked. I don't have the other two things clicked because it's green screen and photo mode. Color boost, I have color boost. I just have it the defaulted color boost filter. I mean, I know it says defaults on the thing, but color boost filter is the default of color boost filter. As you can see, you can change the you could fine-tune the filter and everything to how you want it, and default looks good too, but I really like what it looks like on this game with the color boost filter as it is set to as in its default settings. Can't say it makes it look less real or more real, if that's kind of like what you're going for. In some ways I think it looks more real, in some ways I think it looks less real. Like the bridge over in the corner looks more real when it's just on default. Maybe even that person walking over there, let's see if of course it's gonna move my head and just cover them up. That's very useful, but let's see. They look more real with it with color boost on. Well, I don't know, personal preferences, but I like it with color boost on. And graphics on this is set to increased for ray tracing. Everything else everything is just on, but also has all that increase. I have the ray trace noise reduction on. All of that is as it is. And we could go into trainer here, and we could click on weather. And we could change all kinds of things, but I'm just in it for the aesthetics. We could change the weather type, so we could have blizzard, clear, clearing, clouds, extra sunny, which gives time of the day, which we could also have an effect on. So why don't we go to a nice little sunset, which is a 7 on the override time, but you could adjust that to whatever it is that you want to see. We're gonna play around with a little bit of each. Anyways, neutral Halloween, which is like that. Neutral overcast rain. Overcast looks like GTA 4, especially when you add the rain. Rain Halloween. Smog snow. Snow lights. Snow Halloween. Thunder. And Christmas. For now, why don't we go to clear or clearing? We'll go to clear. That looks good, and then we'll start doing some benchmarking. This is going to be a thing where the feel is going to matter a little bit more than the numbers, and there's a reason for that, because if you think about the numbers, they're not great. Remember, we are using frame generation. We don't have to. I'll show you real quick. We'll like do a whole section for that near the end, but this is more of a look what we could do, pushing this card to its max. Then than not. And our base frame over here is in the 70s, which isn't horrible, but it will dip, especially when we get into the mountains. But since we're in that kind of range anyways, I feel like, why not? I need my car. I'm a little upset that my car disappeared. It disappeared because I pressed a button and I accidentally moved to Franklin. And hey, I found my car. It showed it on the map. So we're gonna go grab that car, and I will show you what I'm talking about real quick. I guess I was gonna have that section, the timestamp at the end, but why not make it a little bit complicated for my editing experience? I don't like that my car is over here by the cop. Did they steal my car? My car, they impounded it. Okay. I want to do crimes right now. I'm gonna get this out of the impound. Because what? Because I switched? It wasn't even... It was like a second, bro. What the heck? This isn't my car. My car's yellow. And it has a green... Whose car is this? Okay. Well, let's go on a trip to... Oh, I can't have the radio on. This is not my car. I think I have to skip the part with the... Oh, actually, no, I don't, because I have the in-game audio and the audio of me speaking are separate. Yay for technology. We are going through here. We are like in the 60s, which is, again, not bad, but it will dip from that. There are more demanding areas, so we get in 50s, but when you go real fast or whatever, it also dips. Get a 55, 54, 56. It's in the mid 50s a lot of times, and it'll dip a little bit more here and there. And then if we were to change the weather to, let's see, put it at nighttime, and then we'll throw on thunder, should dip even more, or actually less. So the weather, depending on where you're at, the time of day and weather will affect FPS. But either way, you can see that it is we're not in the 60s. We're not in the 60s anymore, so that is the reason why we are going to keep frame generation on, and I am going to go get my car. You can see even with frame generation here, we're like at a lower FPS, but the thing is, it doesn't matter in this game. And that's gonna be like a big discussion, because the argument with frame generation is that you want your base frame rate to be 60 minimum, right? That's kind of the general consensus. So like in game, you would want it to be at like 120 or whatever within that realm. I found that in most games, the 100 mark, at like 100 FPS after turning frame generation on is completely fine in pretty much every game I played, in terms of latency as well as artifacting, so long as it is 2x generation and not 3 or 4 or 6. And this game does go below that, so it'll go sometimes into the 80s. Sometimes it'll even go, depending on where you're at, a bit lower than that. But it just doesn't matter because of the way that the game is designed, the way that it feels. It feels particularly good and the same. So it comes down more to the way that... Where is this bringing me? This is supposed to... What the hell? No, I'm chasing my old thing. I wanted to go get my car. I'm going to the beach. It is going to... not make that much of a difference in terms of latency, like the way that things feel, and choppiness, all that kind of stuff, for the most part, feel exactly the same as they do, a little bit smoother. Maybe not exactly the same, but close enough. Enough that you're not going to notice what you're thinking. I've been playing for a while without benchmarking, without even realizing that the FPS goes down so much in some areas, which is to be expected. Again, we are at full GPU utilization, but it is just, this is a lot of very intensive stuff, and it looks beautiful. And we could make it look even more beautiful, and we'll do that at the very end of this. And we'll do that at the very end of this this video, but it's not worth doing, unfortunately. But this already looks very good. And I lived in Southern California in the San Diego area for a few years. So I have, you know, I've been here. I have physically been in these streets. I have slept in a car in these streets, actually. These aren't the hills, I don't think. This is like closer to like Beverly Hills kind of looking area, but within that area I did, and it was very awkward and it's very illegal to do that, but I did do it. But anyways, it comes down more to how much you could deal with the artifacting, which really here is just ghosting for the most part, but at 2x frame generation there's not a lot of that. It just kind of feels a little bit slower, but you could, and that's out in the very intensive area, so we'll actually just go there real quick, just to get that out of the way, and then we will go back to where everything looks really pretty and show that off. Got to turn the radio off, of course, but out in these mountains, just because the horrible looking bush foliage is incredibly intensive for no reason, and I mean there's obviously a reason. It's not just doing that to be a dick, but it, you know, it feels like it is. But yeah, you can see here like our base frame rate would be pretty low because we're dipping all the way into the 70s in this little spot, which I guess we wouldn't if I wasn't recording because of that 3 FPS difference, but close enough, which is very low in terms of your internal frames, and you could kind of tell a little bit, and things just get a little bit more blurry. Things just get a little bit more blurry, but it doesn't, you don't feel it, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have that weightiness, that floatiness doesn't really, in my opinion, isn't really noticeable in this game in particular. Because in this game in particular, this is, how do I get out into the mountains? I think if I keep following this way, it'll bring me out there, where it'll dip quite a bit more. Because the way that the game has a certain weight to it in terms of animations and such, and when you're in simulation, you're driving around, it's very sim-esque. And with how pretty it looks, I think that because it is photorealistic, in a sense, it is chasing the photorealistic dream. But because of that, I think that aids in it not really being all that noticeable when you're not at a very high refresh rate internally, because we obviously, like, you know, our actual frames are a lot lower than the presented frames. Our actual frames there are like 35, 40. It's not great in terms of actual frames, and I am using a controller. But in terms of feel, latency, and all that, because it's just not that different because of how the game feels in general. Now with the controller, it actually feels good. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it is because it is the slowness that this game has in the animation style and the way things move, or if it's because of the graphics here with all these mods, or if it is because and everything maxed out, like super ray tracing, except for, you know, that one extra ray tracing thing. We'll try that at the end of the video in a later section, but it just feels good anyways. And maybe the mixture of the two things, it's still crazy to me that these areas out here are so frame intensive, considering that you know, I've been out in this area, and maybe in the grapevine it looks like this. The spare trees are not super common, but this is in the LA area, so these are out in there's more trees and less tumbleweed bushes or whatever those are. Look at that. That is beautiful. Can we go to that? Feeling homesick. Look how pretty that is. But either way, yeah, so it is going to be like way more intense. If you ever seen any of Z-Worm's videos, then you know he like goes out to this area to benchmark the most intensive spots for that reason. But Oh, it's so pretty. And this mod is still getting updated, by the way. The Natural Vision Enhanced mod is still getting updated. So that's worth mentioning too. My god, that is gorgeous. Again, I've been here. I've been on these roads. So in real life, the equivalent of them. But yeah, we do dip quite a bit though. But it just feels. Let me get out real quick, because this is gonna feel a little bit more. It's gonna matter a little bit more. What's going on? Did I hit that car? Are they shooting at me? Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh, this is the coolest thing ever. What is happening? I've only played a little. I've owned this game since it was only on PS3. So I got this not long after it launched on PlayStation 3, and I've only played a few hours into it. I think the last mission I've ever played in Grand Theft Auto 5. That was great. In Grand Theft Auto 5. Don't hit my car. It was I shouldn't pull out a gun here then, huh? Was where you I think like a couple missions into Franklin. I played a bit, but not that much, you know what I mean? Not Franklin, sorry. The other, oh god, I forgot his name. I want to call him Spencer. Why do I not remember his name? I've never, you know, the guy. the hairy bald one, that one. Here, we're at the bee farm, or the orchards. God, I miss orchards. Okay. In terms of like how this feels, I'll shoot at him. I want to actually shoot him. That would be very nice with it. I mean, it feels good. It's fine. The latency's fine because you don't notice it because of how this game is. It's just so is what it is. Let's try controller real quick. That's beyond good. That's crazy. No other game. I have cops after me. I didn't shoot anybody. I shot at them. It's fine. It was for an example. It was for TV. Chill. Oh my gosh. Whoop. Oh yeah. Can you believe I have a suspended license in real life? Why are there so many cops, bro? I didn't do anything to them. I think if I just do this, if I just go this way as fast as possible, I won't get arrested, probably. I don't know. You know what? Now's a good time. Now's a good time to start the prettiness. Let's go all the way. Let's go. Let's turn. It's nighttime. Let's turn on thunder. And now we have, because we'll have all the lights from the cops and from us. And look at that. Look how amazing that looks. Look at that. I'm so glad that I have these cops chasing me. Well, that's not a great example. Remember when you used to get busted in these games instead of getting shot? Remember that? When they weren't so realistic. Oh, I don't have a window. But in this version of the mod, you actually cannot see when it is raining. In this more updated versions, depending on what version you're on now, you might not have experienced that. But in these newer versions, you have water, like rain, on your windshield, and you can't do anything about it because there's not a windshield wiper. It is so pretty. Let's see if we could find a really good spot. Look at the lightning. My god. This is really pushing this GPU, by the way, especially since we don't have any bottlenecks here with the 12600k and it's just all GPU. I mean, it is on quality, but there's not really, you already saw how things are. There's not really a point in going below quality. It's just gonna be a lot more intensive. Why don't we do that real quick? Frame gen off. DLAA, we're in the 30s. It does look a lot better. Of course, because DLA looks good, but DLSS Quality looks completely serviceable. But if you want to play it, it's gonna dip below 30. Let's turn frame gen on ×2. ×2x DLAA, and we're just barely making it into 60 FPS. And in terms of how it feels, it still feels fine. It's a little bit odd, but it still feels acceptable enough for sure. Like, well, I mean, you can probably turn sensitivities up, but I mean, we're gonna go below 60 here with like this. Of course, we could go a couple steps further. Why not? And we could turn on, what's it give us here? We could turn on all the way up to 4x. You probably change it up to 6x in NVIDIA app if you really want to. And that gets us to kind of where we at before. It looks good. So now it comes down to how does it feel. And I'm gonna be honest, you have a lot more ghosting because we're at 4 times frame generation, and it feels a lot more sluggish with a controller. Without a controller, with keyboard and mouse, I have felt worse at lower generation, of course. Yeah, I mean, you could. If I wanted to, let's see. Where's keyboard and mouse? Let's change our sensitivities. Let's put up our sensitivity a bit. Mouse look sensitivity. That's good. That's entirely fine. It mitigates kind of the issue there in terms of how that feels. You do still have the whole, you know, clicking left and right latency with your A and D keys. Still feel a little bit unresponsive. So there's that. But in terms of like this, in terms of your mouse, it's completely acceptable here. So if you did want to, you could probably get used to the left and right of that pretty quick. It really just depends on you. I mean, this game kind of already is like that anyways. Alright. I mean, that's a lot better. It's not... Actually, this isn't bad. It just comes down to your personal sensitivities to ghosting. Yeah, as you can see, the ghosted lights are in particular bad, but they're kind of like a little bit weird sometimes anyways as part of the mod. But if you wanted that extra visual clarity, you get, if 3 times frame generation DLAA, you're going to get about the same FPS as DLSS Quality 2 times frame generation, but it's going to look a little bit better, and then you can mitigate latency enough in terms of looking around through sensitivities. It's just mostly going to come down to your tolerance for the ghosting around your main character for the most part. Everything else, it's a little artifacty as well here. It is noticeable, so it's just up to you and what your personal preference is going to be. My personal preference, I think, is probably going to stay. Like, this is nice if you want to just like look at things being pretty, but in terms of doing a whole lot of stuff, I think that it's probably better to stay at DLSS 4.0 quality with 2 times frame generation, because we're already pushing it a bit, and there's nothing you're going to be able to do about that because this is a GPU limitation here. So changing any other part of your PC is not going to make a huge difference. I actually think I want my sensitivity to be up a little bit more even. I mean, do I? The reason that I kind of don't want my sensitivity to be too high is because aiming like this on a controller is very hard. Of course, you have first person. You can turn this into a first person shooter if you really want to. Like, you can do that. Like, that is an option. That might change your experience and what you want or don't want out of the thing. Look at the reflections on the gun, by the way. They've done quite a bit with that. That's kind of crazy looking. But it still looks really good. It does not look as good as with DLAA. DLAA, it just looks better. Of course, it looks better. But there you go. And you also have DLSS 4.0 or 4.5. But I think this is already really sharp, and I could make it less sharp, but I don't, and then the performance isn't going to be as good, so like kind of what is the point just being DLAA? I don't know. Not for me personally, but this still looks plenty fine in my opinion, even though it is noticeably not as clear. It's fine. The difference is minimal, and your display, you could probably mess around with things to mitigate stuff like that and get it more into your personal preferences with sharpnesses, display settings. In fact, this might look different to you to a degree than it does to me, but looking around, everything is absolutely gorgeous. This is probably, I'm not gonna say this looks better than Cyberpunk, unmodded Cyberpunk, but it looks more real, I feel like. Let's change settings a little bit again. Let's get it to here, hold on, let's make it rain real quick. And then, so a cool thing you could do with this is you could change, oh, that looks so good. It's so beautiful. Why is this game so beautiful? I genuinely might play this game all the way through, like not the online aspect, all the way through without just because of how pretty it looks. But okay, let's make it clear, and then we'll override the time to right there. Kind of looks a little bit better at like 6 in the morning or whatever, but right to 7. And look at that. Look at that. Wow, that's something. This video is just gonna be glazing, but it's so pretty. Just real quick, just get a look at how different it looks with DLAA. Now that we have that, I just kind of want to, just for myself, just look at what I can't have. Or I could, if I really wanted to make some sacrifices that I just don't think is enough. Like, it's not a good enough balance. But in DLAA, I mean, it does look a lot better, doesn't it? But still, you get like no FPS, right? 80, 86, 87 in this particular situation. Which actually isn't horrible or too different than it was before, I guess. But I just think for my own personal overall experience, why was it in the 60s before? Probably because of the weather? Because this is in the 80s and stuff, honestly, it's completely fine here. Once it gets to like the 60s and less, it's not so great. But DLAA looks, it's kind of doing fine right now at 2 times frame generation. I'm a little bit surprised by that. I imagine it's probably because of the settings that we are at. Oh, I don't want to get on the freeway. Oh, I fucked up. How do I get off of the freeway? Probably if I go this way. But maybe this is something that you could do. I think we're gonna have to go. We have to to really see if DLAA is something that we could deal with, because you see that it gets dipping there a bit into the high 70s. Of course with recording, but that's not a major influence. So let's see again. We go to nighttime and then put on Thunder like how we had it before. DLAA, our frames should drop, and they do indeed drop to where it was previously. Yeah, within that world, but it's still kind of okay. Like your 1% lows are much lower, but it's still kind of okay if you want that extra bit of clarity. then I suppose you could get away with that. The best way to find out how much you could get away with that, of course, is to go out into, and of course, in like how it feels. But I still think it feels all right within within this, like where we're at. When I'm playing right now, let me get out again, run around. Yeah, it's not as good, but it's still so okay. That's gonna be fine no matter what. That's not really affected. You're looking, the only thing that's really affected is the response time for moving left and right. With the lower percentages. She just called me the F word, and I don't really appreciate that. We are in the 60s now with frame gen on. I have purchased honey from this. I have been here. I know there's a few of these out in the world, out in Cali, like I understand that. But where I purchased the honey, it was right off of the thing, right off of the highway out in this area in Southern California. Pretty sure it was Southern California. It's all California. And other stuff, man. Wow. It's been so long. But DLAA, it does look just quite a bit better. And I really want to play this in DLAA. Let's look one more time. Let's look one more time. How much of a difference is it? Is it just in my head? Obviously, it's not in my head. Of course, it's not in my head. Yeah, I mean it. Be honest, like it's not a huge difference. There is a difference in clarity. Of course, there's a difference in clarity, but it's not a huge one. And I think, in terms of just having that extra little bit, I feel like you're just gonna have to make a decision for yourself, I guess, because I don't really have a personal preference here. I would have to be playing for a bit on my own, outside of content, to be able to get a proper opinion. Because like there's trade-offs, right? Like a DLAA looks a little bit better, a little bit more clear, a little bit less video gamey, and a little bit more photorealistic, for what it is. But the trade-off is that you lose a little bit of frames. You lose probably like 10 to 30 FPS, and that kind of matters in that situation. But overall, like the latency is fine. And the left and right here is fine too when it's like in the 70s. But when it goes below that, I mean, I really think I would be more than fine playing it like this. It is the difference between it still being very much a video game, very much a Grand Theft Auto game, and it being closer to a simulation kind of game. Very minimal difference. Let's throw on 3x frame generation again. Just to get a real feel for it. This is going to be a longer video. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely more noticeable artifacting here. Like, you could see that in the... try to have it on video. It might not show as much on video, actually. But the lines are... like, in the recording, it might not show as much. But these... well, chill out. These lines here have little black squares popping up. Not always, but... like, not right now. Not right now. But they were... yeah, there they are a little bit. So there's just a little bit more artifacting, and then it does start getting, it's a little bit softer, but it still looks a little bit better than I mean, let's see. What is the left and right? I mean, left and right, it's fine. Latency is fine. Yeah, I mean, that's perfectly serviceable. But I think when we get in the car and we start driving around, I think artifacting is going to become a lot more noticeable. So it depends on your sensitivity to that artifacting, whether or not you want to use 3 times frame generation DLAA to accomplish having the higher frames with this GPU. But I mean, honestly, we're really pushing things to their limit, which I really like to do, because you can push this GPU to its limit quite a bit. I don't, these clouds, I don't know if they're helping or hurting us in terms of FPS. This fog, I don't mean to go to the military base. One thing that is nice is that you can also change the weather with this mod to accommodate FPS if you want. If you really want to, like, that is kind of a thing you could do. You could change things around a little bit. Sometimes it'll make it worse, sometimes it'll make it better depending on the area that you're looking in. But, you know, 3 times frame generation really is kind of pushing it a little bit, I feel like, but you might not have the same opinion. I will be a little bit more nitpicky, just because I am just in the process of making the video. It just kind of makes you a little bit more nitpicky. I'm still recording, correct? Yeah, we're an hour in already. Holy crap, bro. Okay, this is gonna be an insane video to edit. Alright, and with 2 times frame generation, we're in like the 60s here, and it actually looks a little bit worse than 3 times frame generation, just like in a different way. In terms of left and right, I mean, it's actually a little bit better, I think, to have it on 3 times frame generation, but then you do start to lose a little bit. It starts to get a little bit softer, I feel like. Look at that one more time, 3 times. 2 times just isn't gonna be it for this if you want to try and run on DLAA. Yeah, so like 3 times, it does make it noticeably softer. Maybe you can't notice it, maybe you can. And I don't think that it looks better than it does on DLSS Quality. It kind of starts to get into the same realm, but with a little bit more problems. So if we just go into Jesus, menus. Why are there not? Why does a single game not have a good menu? We just go into DLSS Quality. What's going on? Okay. DLSS Quality. And we're getting, I mean, it's still not the best. It's not as much as DLAA with frame gen, but I actually think that this, or with 3x frame gen, but I actually think that DLSS Quality looks better with 2 times frame gen, looks better than a DLAA with 3 times frame gen. DLSS Quality with 2x frame gen looks better than DLAA Quality 3 times frame gen. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I feel like I'm not. But either or could probably be serviceable. And it's starting to get to the realm now where I can barely tell the difference. But we are still going to have lower FPS. This area, for example, is really... Look at the bird. Okay, I shouldn't have done that. That was rude. Anyways, I can buy clothes here. Anyways, like this spot, for some reason, has the most FPS drop that I found so far in this little gas station out here where I could apparently buy clothes. Just now I don't know if I'm on DLAA, so like take that for what that's worth. Just want to make sure that I did in fact turn DLAA off and I'm on quality. Yes, I am. Okay, so it is what it is. I mean, if I can't tell when I'm actually playing the game, and I'm not like really looking, then you know. I just noticed as I look at how pretty this is. God dang, man. God dang. Wow. I just noticed that you could hear. I was like, "What is that sound? That urine sound?" But it's just the water. Me driving over the wetness. I don't think it needs to be that intense, but that's okay. It doesn't. I don't know. Maybe a little bit less intense. It just makes me think of somebody peeing in the alleyway. So even in the worst case scenarios, in the most intensive little area, where you're just roaming around, that I could find, again, so far there's probably some areas that dip down a little bit more, but you're not going to be spending a whole lot of time around them if we're being completely honest. With DLSS on quality and 2x frame generation, even though our base frame rate gets pretty dang low at some points, it's completely 150% fine. Like, I don't think that you're going to complain. I think that you're going to have a good experience the entire time. And if you have a 5070, well, then you don't have a choice. it's what you could lower settings. We do have room to lower settings. We are at 99% GPU utilization in DLSS. We do have room to lower settings. But then we were trying to make it look as good as we can. It's just the sacrifice with DLAA. Even though it looks a little bit better, I just think it's a little bit too much. In the same way that we're not at 4K, you know what I'm saying? Can't always have everything. But if you again, you do you, tinker with your own settings, see what feels good for you personally, because not everybody's people are gonna be sensitive to different things, you know. And they're gonna have different like preferences of what they want. This is a good balance for me, I feel like, and I want to go skateboarding with the car. We're gonna try 1080p, and of course you have balanced and all of that stuff as well. But I didn't test that really in this video. I will just a little bit at the end just to take a look at it, but I think there's nobody here right now. It's just kind of crazy. In real life there's a lot more people there. Not as many as you might think, but there are a lot more people. But we go ahead and go into 1080p. We'll drive back into the city real quick, and the video doesn't scale very well with the video doesn't scale very well with DLSS. I really need to get a 1440p monitor, but I want to upgrade my CPU first. But god damn it, it's all in a weird thing. It's like a fraction of my screen. I'm gonna scale it in the video so that it doesn't look stupid. Or yeah, in the editing of this video. I can't think because I'm confused. But we are at 70 FPS with DLAA and no frame generation. So 1080p, of course, is going to be great. And we're still at max GPU utilization, of course. So, I mean, you're going to get... It's going to be a perfectly serviceable experience without any need of upscaling at 1080p. It changes a bit when you get to 1440. So, I still think DLSS makes things look better overall, but it just depends, you know, on who you are and what you want. If you have a 1080p monitor and you don't want to use DLSS, which I prefer, then you'll be able to get just the max of everything. I mean, it might still dip a little bit here and there or whatever, but, you know, it's still a much better experience. Let's make it a... Oh, I can't even change. Gonna scoot that. Jesus Christ, dude. As expected, though, right? Like, this is 1080p on a 5070. without any bottleneck from the 12600k. So it's still, you'll probably be fine on a lot of GPUs, to be honest. Like the 12600k, and the reason I make the series is because there is a bottleneck, but it's a small bottleneck for the most part, right? For most of the time, it'll still be in the 90s. It'll be low 90s, high 80s, but that is still a bottleneck, you know. And that, of course, will be like in this scenario most of the time when you're using DLSS quality. But you are limited a little bit in that kind of situation in terms of how much upscaling and whatnot you could use, and you know, like how much of different settings are going to make or whatever. But in this situation, that's not a concern. So to conclude, honestly, I really feel like you could get away with quite a bit here, but there is a noticeable uncomfortable feeling when you get to a much lower base FPS. If it dips here and there, that's not really a big deal, but you can feel a uncomfortable latency when you're moving your character left and right because of how the animation works in this game. Everything else is honestly pretty okay, even in those like not as great situations. But for that reason, it's probably best to run at DLSS quality with 2x frame generation if you want to have max settings and your 1440p. If you're at 1080p, then you could get away with DLAA and throwing some frame gen for more frames, but you could get away with a lot more there at 1080p. But for 1440p, I would go about it in the way of DLSS quality with 2x frame generation. Everywhere I've been, it's completely fine, even when it's not perfect. It is minimally not like it might be like a little bit like, oh, that's not as good as it was in this other area, but it's not enough to actually detract from the game.